social media, people get to know the Richard Tuwangye, separated from the actor, the comedian, the entertainer. I think it's now, you need to work on your personal brand. That is a given. There are no two ways about it, especially if your money, especially if you want to start earning while you're not performing.
Yes.
Because we are in a time where you need to earn while you're not performing. Because we've tested months where now there's no performance.
Yes, 1.5 years were.
And believe me, the talents in this city who have worked on their personal brands, and their personal brands speak for their personal brands work up a value for them, they still somehow survive. Compared to those whose brand they know is just on stage, on stage presence. Because then you limit yourself to a talent that only earns per performance. And if you get that and expound on it, build a personal brand, apply your talents elsewhere, or even learn, because a lot of people have talents in this city, but they don't skill the talent.
Yes.
That's another thing. Then all
even people are stuck in their own ways. For people who have had a chance to, say, work out of the country, you're dealing with people from different backgrounds, different cultures. Their view of the world is different. You cannot change that. The best you can do is get into that space and find a way of navigating through that. So I don't believe that what I've learned necessarily is going to go into, say, a big organization like Stanbic and change it. If it might guide me along the way in terms of how to navigate, in terms of how to influence the leaders of that organization, but not necessarily kick the front door and change everything. In fact, I think that's disastrous, because you might just end up going backwards. So I think for me is allow yourself to learn from the environment and then adapt and change from within.
A lot of time we see people, Daniel, who go into organization and just start changing, and you find people flying from this organization to another and says, man, the new boss was come, I can't stay there. And this happened. Is it they themselves who are a problem, those who are running away, or actually the bosses come and want to change everything? Have you ever been in an organization and people have viewed you like that? And if yes, how were you able to deal with it? If not, had you learned these tricks before going inside there, so that when you arrived, you are more warmer to people than more, cold to other people?
Yeah, I think in most cases where, and we've seen this, even in Uganda, where a CEO comes and tries to change everything overnight, and the organization suffers. You lose your talent. The good people leave the company, they go to other organizations. Your numbers start going down. It's a no-brainer. The good ones are the ones who quickly realize, oh, this is different. I need to adapt. I mean, I always hear people who have worked in Tanzania. Tanzanians are different. The way they do things at their pace and how they
shift and move things,
relate among each other is very different. So if you come with your speed and and forcefulness, you'll get a culture shock. They'll edge you out slowly in their nice way. Before you know it, you've left the company. I remember earlier back in our breweries, we had similar people who used to come from South Africa at the time. Because Africa is obviously very fast-paced. It's about push, push, push. And a lot of them suffered. In fact, a time came when they said, you know what, this thing is not working. Let's empower now Ugandans. That's how you guys came through.
There's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's research. It's a lot that needs to be done, and many times there is a feeling that is too much for a woman, because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. Yeah. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men, because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to to go for extra learning, or to go for work outside Kampala, because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces. No,
Richard, welcome to Creative Industry Talk. How are you this morning?
I'm very fine. You just reminded me. I've lost money.
Yes, you've lost money.
I've not shared with him.
Yes, he said whenever you do a skit, just send me and send the invoice immediately. Yeah. And I said, wow, I wish I would have a talent and gift like Richard, where I don't have to work very hard and the money just finds me.
Boss, we sweat.
I know. But welcome to the program, Richard. We want to say thank you very much. And how have you been?
I've been okay.
Yeah.
I have constantly been COVID negative.
Okay.
Yeah. I assume.
That's a very good one. Yes.
I've not tested in a long time.
Yes.
But we're okay. A lot has changed.
Yeah.
We have tried to change with the change.
Yes.
Yes. And along the way, you discover here, you lose here. But we stay above the water.
Yes, yes. I just want to take you straight to Richard, to the first question we always ask on the Creative Industry Talk. Who is Richard Tuwangye? If I am looking for you, are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values defined as Ugandan? Yes, that question is usually a question that gets so many people punching on the streets of Kampala and across the world. If you ask them a question, who are you?
Yeah.
Some people assume that everyone knows them.
Yeah.
And yes, we see you on TV every other day. Yes, we see you all across Africa. But who is Richard in a nutshell?
That is a very difficult question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because personally I believe some people's values change along the way.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a life is a game of discovery and rediscovery of self. But personally I believe, plainly put, Richard Tuwangye is a Ugandan who is a multifaceted entertainer.
Yeah.
Who has his hands in not just one thing, actor, comedian. I don't know whether I should call myself a singer. Yeah, I think I'm safe calling myself a singer, not a musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to sample that song already.
Yeah, are you serious?
We're on the Creative Industry Talk.
So I do a bit of music. I'm a producer on a wider scale because, well, most of the art I do, I also produce. Some with a team, some alone. And as a human being, I stand for good for all. Yeah.
Wow. That right there is quite a deep statement. I stand for good for all. I would like to take this moment, first of all, to welcome everyone to the Creative Industry Talk from all across the world. Thank you very much, all our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. I hope you did not jump on that plane and you're part of the 600 people from Afghanistan, you know. And of course, to all the creative people all across the world, we want to say thank you very much and welcome to the space for the creative right here in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, going to the rest of the world. Richard,
yes,
welcome to the show. And now that we know you, and now that we understand who you are, just away from seeing you on TV, our topic on the Creative Industry Talk today is about creativity for business success in Uganda.
Yeah.
Creativity for business success in Uganda. When we posted this yesterday, a lot of people wrote back and they were asking, creativity for business success in Uganda? They don't even understand what creativity is. Now you are putting the mix of success in it. And I mean, how are we going to do it? So I said, well, we will have to have a discussion about this. And of course, we're going to be joined by Faisal Kiwewa. We were supposed to be joined by, Jeremy Byemanzi from Nomad Advertising. But unfortunately, Jeremy has got an emergency that needs to attend to. He will be joining us next week. And of course, we want to take a moment to welcome Faisal Kiwewa all the way in the outside countries. How are you doing in the cold?
Thank you so much, Eddie. I am okay. I just arrived like 5 minutes ago in Antwerp. It's I would say the capital of the Flanders in Belgium. So it's where I am, and I had to find my way to get to the show. So I'm very excited to join you guys.
Very much, Faisal. Thank you very much, Faisal, first of all, for joining us. I hope you have had a very good ride on the train. In Uganda here, when we talk about the train, we only remember in the 60s. I don't know whether Richard... Our train hasn't yet been...
I know nothing about trains in Uganda. I just read. What I see down there below Ginger Road, I think those are just carriers, you know.
Wow.
Train has...
Yes, and when my uncle tells me the trains were good, so seeing Faisal ride on the train in Europe, it's quite an amazing stuff. But gentlemen, welcome to the show. So today we want to just ride straight to this, discussion. I want to give you a context, Richard. There is artistic creativity.
Yes.
And there is a more general kind of creativity that we see in people that could also be called the ingenuity, innovation, the lateral thinking outside the box. We've heard people talk about this very much, or simply the problem solver.
Yes.
And we are going to mix the two together to basically find what is best for us in our discussion today. We're talking about creativity for business in Uganda and the success. But the context here is that creativity in business is a nifty way of thinking that always inspires people, challenges people, and also help people to find innovative solutions that create opportunities that we always use in our day-to-day life, okay? And of course, opportunities out of problems are key, and we're talking about the pandemic situation right now. The COVID-19 has brought, a challenge in the industry. But how are we turning these opportunities and challenges to actually create opportunity to solve the problems that we have or we all had already before? It is also the reason some individuals, of course, and companies attract our attention to either goods and services or to products that we need. Yes. It comes from the creative mind. The ideas, the amazing ideas, sometimes seems very, far-fetched, and other times is merely the follow have beaten, and some people really just go through with whatever the flow is. But today on the show, I want to take you straight to this background. And I want to start with you, Richard, right here in the studio. First of all, is creativity an important skill to have?
It is a very important skill to have. Unfortunately, it is not for all. And I think, the nature's laws, I think, dictated like that, because I mean, if all of us were creative, it would be so hard to cope with the world. I mean, you're trying to catch on this and something new has come.
Yes.
But that is where we are going.
Yeah.
It is very important to be creative because it helps you stand out in whatever sector.
Yeah.
I believe it. You know, when you come, most of us are followers before we get creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a trend, whether in banking, the arts, the sports. There's always a trend. And that trend, at whatever given time in history or in the future, it will have been brought about by a few creative minds.
Yes.
So, like you said, it's the creative ones who create even opportunities, not for just themselves, but for others.
Yeah.
And without just limiting it to art, it is so important that if a particular sector is so clogged with competition, chances are the one who is going to slide off the conventions will either stand out or it's not a win all the time. Because you can create your way to your failure.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
true.
it is important to be creative, but it's also important to create with high regard of the audience.
Wow.
That you're creating for. Most cases, creative people are also very egoistic. So when the idea comes and he likes it, you're not going to try and tone his idea down.
This is my idea.
To match the targeted audience.
Yes.
He wants to run it the way he has thought about it.
Yeah.
So creativity is very important, but also most important is who are you creating for?
Wow. Faisal Kiwewa, all the way in outside countries, you've heard from Richard. Richard is saying that it is important that the creativity is important skill for a person to have. Do you agree with Richard, Faisal? And also on that background, Faisal, how do we, profit from the creativity in business, if at all it is important as a skill?
Thank you so much. First of all, to compliment Richard for how he looks. I mean, you can see that creativity has made on some weight. Despite all of us who are losing weight during this COVID, Richard is gaining weight, which is good to see that a creative man. Excitingly, I would say. I totally agree with his notion on yes, creativity is necessary. It's not for him, but it's also something that we need nurture in everyone. That's why we encourage our children at a young age to really try to practice different things, test different experiences, so that they could define themselves in the future, whatever course they take in life. Be not just redundant or dependent on what they're told to do or what they must do, but also be supportive of our community. And I'm always fascinated creatives really contribute to changes that we see in societies. And you can see in Europe, you find a lot of things done, but not necessarily provided by authorities, governments, but by individuals who find hardships in terms of their day-to-day life, and they think about solutions that help them to go through these hardships. And those solutions then eventually become public necessities or public goods that everyone now needs to use. For example, you can, if you walk around, or if you move around, like just what you talked about at the beginning, the necessity of having a train. I woke up in having a congress here. So that thought of creativity to say, you can call it also innovation, to make people's lives easier is really what our country would need more of this kind of input in our day-to-day life. Yeah.
Richard, you've had the man woke up in Finland.
Faisal, was that meant to make me feel guilty? Because I'm the reason this show started late. Just from Muyenga to Bukoto.
Yes, he has juggled so much traffic and a lot of things have happened. But you see, Richard, that's why we're saying if there's a creative way of thinking about stuff, would be able to save and there'll be a lot more success. And that really resonate with our topic today. Richard, what jobs are in the creative industry? We're starting to build these things about our discussion today. What jobs do you think are available? You're already earning out of it.
The creative industry.
Yes.
First, it is so wide. Yeah. People look at the creative industry. When you say creative industry, they think about the creative performers.
Yes.
Yeah. But you see, those aside, we have people behind the scenes. The producers, the guys who do the technical work, and then the creative industry does not just carry the artistically creative or the performing artists. We are living in a time where, life has changed. The phone is now a performing space.
Yeah.
The internet is a performing space. So, you're holding your phone and you have a multitude of stages here. You're free to choose. The people who create all those spaces are also creatives. They are at a very different plane of creativity also. But all creatives are important. Personally, I think to a certain extent we are important in equal measure, because Mr. Eddie Okila is going to have a platform here that is so different from other platforms. And the reason he shaped it that way is to serve a certain segment of audience, TV viewing content seeking audiences. But Okila will need the performers on. Okila will be the producer, the performers will be there, the writers are going to get jobs. That's why sometimes me in Uganda here, like the only way we can have as many creatives incorporated into the creative industry is for those who can create to focus on churning out the art. The more art you put out, the more people you pull into the value-adding chain of the final products. That I have experienced along the way when we seek to grow. You create more, and you realize along the way we have, brought in this big number of contributors to the final product.
Wow. Well, Richard and Faisal, this is a very interesting part of the show. The jobs that the creative industry have. I want to dive to Faisal in Belgium. Faisal, you've heard from Richard. What jobs do you think we have available in the creative industry?
I think, as Richard said at the beginning, the creative industry is really huge. When we start mentioning the sectors within, I would call them, some are sectors because they're informal, others are industries because they're formal. But there are also those formal and informal industries within the creative industry, or the creative arts, or the creative behavior, I would say. But the kind of jobs, let's start with, what we are doing. So we are in the arts. I'm a programmer, and that whole line of business you are familiar with. Richard is in the, in theater and comedy, and that chain of business is very familiar to us. We know what they are doing, and I think maybe what is different in this case is like the acknowledgement of the actual number of people or number of jobs that are associated in our line of work. When people see Richard performing at the National Theatre or at the comedy scene, when they do it, their grand shows every month, people don't really understand the amount of work that is put in, leave alone the creative process of writing the skits they do, but also the backstage side. We are talking about costume designers, we are talking about set designers, we are talking about makeup artists, we are talking about communications person, ticketing persons, we are talking about advertising, radio interviews, TV interviews, and all all these jobs. And when you look at the people and the amount of effort as well as the amount of to this kind of work, it's appalling. And then these are some of the things that we know. But then when we shift with art forms like new media, when we talk about new media, we're talking about, design, graphics, we're talking about advertising, we're talking about software development, we're talking about programming, we're talking about all these things. So when someone sees like Eddie, you're here hosting us, you're in Kampala, and we're talking to each other, they don't imagine the amount of work that was put all us talking to each other live in such a diverse space. So this is creativity, this is programming, this is thinking, this is offering a solution to a need that is identified, maybe not on a daily need, but it's almost something that you need once in a while. So there are so many jobs, they cannot be counted. But what I want to assure our listeners or our viewers is that we have, as within the creative industry, the highest number of employment opportunities. There are so many that need our services in terms of when we get it to work. And there are also those that, so many people that we need to make sure that we pull off our events. When I have Bayimba Festival, as a small example of what happens within our day-to-day life, I have at least 1,500 staff working at one festival. Those include my core staff, they include service providers, they include volunteers, they include interns, they include, partners, sponsors, and all these people are at the festival making sure that everything goes on as it is planned. So I cannot start mentioning how many jobs are there, but to be sure, they are very, very many.
Wow. Well, you've heard it from Faisal. Thank you very much, Faisal. Richard, I want to come back to you on this part. And of course, welcoming all the viewers from everyone who's watching the show. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and all across the world in all our platforms. By the way, we're live on our, www.houseoftalentuganda.com. It's live, it's streaming for everyone across the world, so please enjoy. We want to hear your comments, kisses, and this is coming. We love to hear them. We love to hear them. If you're doing well, kiss us. If you think we're doing bad, diss us. We are okay. We are creative people. We take this. Richard,
yes,
you've heard what Faisal just said, and I like the first two questions and three questions. I want to go to the third question, which is, what are the types of creativity that we can profit from? We're talking about creativity, and we're always talking about creative people. Faisal just said something very interesting. 1,500 people worked at the concert, a festival. Whenever we see you on stage, we don't understand that the Fun Factory has got a shipload of people behind just Richard to look good on screen and to be, looking nice and to speak whatever is speaking nice on stage. Yes. There are a lot of people behind there. So I want to just ask you a question. What type of creativity is there for businesses to harness? Given your experience as a stage performer, as a copywriter, which means you're writing a lot of copies to corporate companies for products to be communicated about, to be consumed. What do you think the types of creativity that is there that we can profit from?
As businesses?
Yes. As individuals as well as businesses,
okay. Yes. You just mentioned some of the most important ones there. First, just the creativity to produce art that can just, touch people's hearts and lift their moods, and maybe also help them think, in certain thought processes that they wouldn't have if they had not consumed certain pieces of art. That creativity is very important. That one is that, I think that is the longest serving kind of creativity for humankind, because I mean, since the medieval times, that kind of creativity is demanded for leisure. Now, creativity for business development, where some of these there are talents that can be applied in all those places. Now, we have people like me who applied their talents in spaces like copywriting, where you use your creativity to nail a message or speak to a company's potential customer and also speak to the one they have, so that you need that creativity between you, the brand owner, and the brand consumer. You need some creativity there to keep these people emotionally connected to your product.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes you might be good enough at designing the product. Yeah. But you're not as good enough at gaining and maintaining the confidence and emotional connect to your product. That is when you need people who can, pick that creativity off the stage, apply it in this business space also. The creativity of, the world has become so visual. The world is so visual that if you have a message and you do not design it in maybe typography, you're not going to. You have to apply some typography. So and creativity has really, to me, we are living in a time where creatives have to be very awake to the fact that the audiences that we are creating for are exposing themselves sometimes much more than we, the creatives.
And they're also becoming creative themselves in their own right.
So they attain a higher level of judgment of your art. That if you do not expose yourself better or more than they are exposing themselves, the audience will run away. It will be 3-4 steps ahead of you, and by the time you wake up to chase this audience and get it. It's not that you're not creative anymore. They have exposed themselves much more. And now, so creatives have to be on their toes because our audiences are becoming more creative.
Wow. Faisal, we want to dive to you in Belgium. You've heard, I think Richard just said something fundamental to understanding. If a business person is watching, they need to understand where Richard is coming from. If a creative person is watching, they need to understand that if you're not constantly putting your craft together, that audience that you're creating that product for is going to come for you. And once they get exposed, they might age you out, not because you're not doing something right, but because they're already exposed to a manner in which they can judge the product and know what is good and what is not. Just before we go for a break, Faisal, your thoughts on that one? What type of creativity do we have in theater and performing art, as well as, from a programming point of view, as a guy who is always doing stuff for entertainment? Whenever we are stressed, we run to you, and you guys give us relief. Faisal, over to you.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think, as Richard says, that one of the things that we strive for as programmers is always the consistency and also understanding our audience. Like the Fun Factory guys really mastered the audience. I think they have never really failed to fill a space, whatever big or small they occupy, because they know who their people are and what they want and how to keep them at the edge. I think it's the whole mystery around building audiences. How do you keep your people to they come to you? They are never bored. Speaking for Byemanzi, we've always developed I don't know what we call it. We call it the experiencing audience. Our audience is very experiencing. They always want to see something new. I think from the beginning, we've always challenged ourselves and challenged our audiences to bring in a new feeling of a new art form. That's why we managed to introduce new art forms that were not really much on the market, like video mapping, street theater. We did things like headphone disco. I don't know whether you know that. We know when we started it in 2009. And people always want to see what's new this time at Byemanzi. And when that drifts away, that you are not able to do the more, then your audience starts wondering what's going on. They start finding or trying to find other opportunities or other options. That's why they run away to other events. But at the same time, it might be also a good thing for you. For example, our cause in programming Byemanzi has always been about experiencing audience, but at the same time, we forgot about ourselves. Then we took off some 2 years of reinventing our programming, and then the audience was confused. And I didn't blame them, but it was intended to kind of create this kind of tension between, okay, where do we go? Is it still the same Byemanzi? But they don't know what's coming up for them. and I'm curious how they'll react when the new Bayimba comes back. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Faisal. You don't know how somebody just sent a message and says, you don't know how important this program is to me right now. I'm learning something that Richard has just said has tickled somebody. And he said, you don't know how much I've just picked from Richard in that small space. I've always seen him on stage just making us laugh. I didn't know the man can speak too much sense.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment.
I think we should take that as a compliment. You see, Richard, we're going to take a break, but when you come back, we're going to start from that particular point of where people just see you on stage and assume that this is the sum total of the person. And they never know that this person there's more to this person. Well, the creative industry is going for a break, and when we come back, Richard Tuwangye and of course Faisal Kiwewa all the way in Belgium will be giving us a lot bit more about the differences between, you know, the creativity and innovation. These two words are always, you know, confused. And you stay right there, pick a coffee, and when we come back, we want to hear your kisses and disses. If you have some kisses, if you don't have, you know, disses, whatever it is, we're okay. The Creative Minutes Talk will be right back after the break. Welcome back from that break. This is Creative Industry Talk, where we sit and discuss things that affect the industry where we are. It's a platform that exists for everyone in the creative space to think. It's a platform that we come together to share ideas. There's a platform that we believe can bring together the creators and of course the policymakers on the round table to think and to come up with, you know, very integrative mind maps that allows us to take the industry and the development around our country and our individual projects forward. Of course, Richard, welcome back to the show. And of course, Faisal Kiwewa all the way in Belgium. We are missing, you know, Jeremy Byemanzi from the advertising sector. We would have had a fantastic moment with him right there. And we hope that Jeremy will be here next week. We think that this series of having Richard and Jeremy coming in and Faisal will run for the next 2 weeks. So if you're missing this one, Richard will be back next week. But we want to hear from you. I'll start by a comment from one Frank Tugume says, I'm always glad to be here.
Oh.
And a shout out to Richard on the show and as well Faisal. And he says, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but Facebook is off in Uganda, but the show is on. And Faisal just
we are not in Uganda.
Yes, Faisal just gave him a tip on that one of what is going on. Well, Richard, welcome back to the program. I want to take you straight to, there is this, you know, thinking Ugandans usually have, or generally, you know, people always think that they see you on stage and they form an opinion about you.
Yeah.
And most times, because we are not being like politicians or sitting and, you know, wearing good ties and something like this, people assume that these are just funny guys. Even the president has said this funny people before. But until I mean, your colleague Annington Bujingoze said he was seated here and then he met the president and the president said, I was told you have a lot of money, you are rich. Then he says, no, I just have enough for me. But he says, you funny people, where do you get money from? It's just an understanding that people don't have around people. But what's your thought on that one? How do we help people to start seeing that we're actually more serious people than they think we are?
You know, first, I think the people who have that kind of mindset, you know, the mind is a very funny place. What you expose is what, you know, they take and they expound on that. You know, it will never end on the stage. So they see Richard acting a school child, they see Richard acting a headmaster, then tomorrow the other show you are a drunkard, you know. You know, they put you in there, they paint a picture of who Richard is, off the stage. And that picture will never be very far from the picture they see here, because you have given them the first brick to build their image of you. So, me, personally, if I tell you my experiences as an artist and the creative who applies my creativity in different spaces because I do professional emceeing for events of different sizes and shapes. Yes. But I know people who tell me when I get a gig, for example, they tell me, you know, it was a process getting zeroing down
to you as
because
a person,
the bosses were like,
wanted this person here.
And we told them, this
gentleman
will nail it the way we want it. And it's like, but this guy, man, the kind of comedy he does, will he handle this very corporate event? And we see him about like they throw around lines like, sio nazanyanga omwana. Sio nazanyanga batamivu. This kind of event. Because you see certain events I handle they're multinational. The audiences are not just Ugandan. You know, and that goes down. It brings another issue, and all of us artists and creatives in Uganda have been victims of our own
creativity.
That is one, but also not working on our personal brands. Okay. It's just recently that we started working on our personal brands with the help of social media. You know, people get to know the Richard Tuwangye, separated from the actor, the comedian, the entertainer. So I think it's now you need to work on your personal brand. That is a given. There are no two ways about it, especially if your money, especially if you want to start earning while you're not performing.
Yes.
Because we are in a time where you need to earn while you're not performing. Because we've tested months where now there's no performance.
Yes, 1.5 years were.
And believe me, the talents in this city who have worked on their personal brands, and their personal brands speak for their personal brands work up a value for them, they still somehow survive. Compared to those whose brand they know is just on stage, on stage presence. Because then you limit yourself to a talent that only earns per performance. And if you get that and expound on it, build a personal brand, apply your talents elsewhere, or even learn, because a lot of people have talents in this city, but they don't skill the talent. That's another thing. Then also separating the talent from his personality. Also in our audience, because we can never not think about the audience. The audience
is where the money is. It's where the business is. That's where things come from. It's your product.
In better societies, they know how to tell apart the talent and the personality, because the audiences also have a high understanding now of the arts. Here,
it's different.
Here is different. The audience is still in its infancy on that point. We are still pulling them up to consider the arts a legitimate source of livelihood
and revenue.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, another one has come here and says, I like what Richard is saying. This is now giving us an insight into who he is and what this is about. Thank you very much, Richard. You've changed my opinion of you on this show. I was wondering how you're going to discuss this topic, which seems to be a little bit more of a corporate side of things.
Are you serious?
Faisal Kiwewa, we want to dive to you. They see you with your backpack all the time moving. They don't know you are a person who creates serious stuff. Right now you are in Belgium, while others are in lockdown in Uganda. How are you doing it?
It's the perfect example, by the way.
Faisal, over to you.
I mean, I was just laughing about the comment on Richard, because I find it fascinating. And of course, I mean, you don't, our followers or fans, because for them, as Richard explained, they don't have maybe the opportunity to explore the personality of Richard off stage, but they often on stage and also on skits on social media. That's what they carry, and it's not different from all of us. I mean, even for you, don't expect you to be or lifting heavy lifts in the gym early in the morning. So this is what happens, like when people don't really tend to have a deeper thought about an individual. But I think, I mean, for me, I don't have a definition of my private or personal work life is kind of very intertwined. And of course, I try to keep as much distance, keep the mystery of me. I tend to be very much distanced from people, but I love crowds as well. So, and also maybe the other thing that you guys don't know, I'm very crowd phobic. So when there are too many people, I freak out. So I tend to be always hiding in the corner. That's why I'm always tending to be backstage when we have festivals, because I freak out when I see too many people or between too many people. But yeah, that's a personality. It's something we work on. But I think being what people expect of you, it's really difficult sometimes if you don't listen and you just see them and give them form your own opinion, but you know or hear, or which I tend to ignore all the time. I think it's also good as you're building the brand of yourself to not to always be distracted by what you hear or know or hear or feel that people are saying or understanding of you, but on your line of work. And that's why for me, that's what I tend to do most of the time.
That's so true.
Well, thank you so much, Faisal, for that one. Richard, you've heard from Faisal. For a man who organizes festivals, is crowd phobic. I don't understand that.
I think it was his way of psychologically fighting back the phobia.
The phobia. Well, thank you very much, everybody who so far sent in their comments. And I don't know why you guys are always sending WhatsApp messages or Facebook messengers. I want you guys to comment on the show straight live there and then. Send us your kisses, and this is where very much welcoming them. Richard.
Yes.
I think you can see where we're coming from. The topic today is about creativity for business success. And I think you've already tackled a little bit of it, that the creativity, the things we have talked about right now, is something that people need to start thinking about. But I want to take you straight to my next question, which is, what is the difference between creativity and innovation, given the background of people's opinion about who Richard is, about who Faisal is, about who Okila is, about who any other, creative mind is? I bring the question to mind, what is the difference between creativity and innovation? Because I think sometimes we mix this thing, and you've said it in a very nice way. You said that as creative people, we were doing a disservice to ourselves. We're being one and the same on stage.
Yes.
And yet we're supposed to be completely different. On television, where I am more comfortable, they say that the character on television is really different from the character you're going to meet on the street. And if you take the person on television to be the person you're going to meet on the street, you're going to be really shocked. And so is on the radio.
Yes.
But dive into it. What is the difference between creativity and innovation when we're talking about success brought about by creativity in business?
That's a tricky question. But if you asked me to put it in one sentence, I'd say all innovation is creativity.
Okay.
But not all creativity is innovative.
Yes. Now you see, that is where it becomes yes, you need to expound on that because there's a great line in between there.
Because yes, you need a creative mind behind every innovation. There has to be. I think they are cousins. They are half brothers. Same father, different mother. Because innovation will be mothered by the need to fill a gap. While creativity can keep this new innovation running and growing in itself as an innovation. Because you innovate. The moment you innovate, this is an innovation. This here, this here, what you did, because I've been following. It's an innovation and it is going to grow. You can tell something that is going to grow. HTV is an innovation. But it needs constant refreshment of on a creative angle. So I don't think you can really pull them apart. They are together. Creativity is the oil
that keeps running it. Wow. I mean, we're talking about creativity for business success in Uganda. It's a part that people don't understand very well. It's a part that either the corporates don't understand very well, or the consumers of the products that are in the market don't understand very well. And the typical point, case in point, is buy Uganda, build Uganda, boo-boo. It's completely confused. We don't understand the line between creative mind.
That is a very long conversation. but to pick from where you are,
yes,
on the corporates and
yes,
how
yes,
they don't get it. Man, you see, sometimes you look at the problems.
Yes,
When the problem has arose.
Yeah.
But man, we have a backlog of conditioning,
yes,
and tuning.
Wow.
You know, we've come from a system that has taught us that this has to be passed like this. Yeah. You know, this is when you attain success. Mm-hmm. Your success is based on when you achieve highly in these parameters. You get it? In these parameters. So we were told to operate, you know, in certain parameters, that it becomes so okay for you not to stand out.
Wow. You're preconditioned to think that way, and that's it.
Yes. Until by the time you realize that, man, you could have done better, is when you are bored of routine. Because these corporates wake up to practice almost the same thing.
Same thing. A friend of mine said, until the day a brand manager is fired from his job, that's the day he started looking for a sheet of paper to write his notes or to print his CV. That's when he realized he has never bought a ream of paper. He doesn't know how much it costs. He doesn't know how much a pen costs. Then he goes to Nasaro to look for it. I
think the
reality is distracting. Yes.
The best company out of entertainment to really look at, to fully understand why creativity is important in business is Virgin.
Yes.
Okay, the conglomerate of businesses of, you know, Virgin, the umbrella of those businesses.
Yes.
Mr. Richard Branson.
Yes.
That's when you know if there is no creativity, he considers the business slagging.
Wow. Faisal Kiwewa, what is the difference between creativity and innovation? I mean, a lot of people think that when you're programming a festival, it's one and the same, and that is it. And Richard has just given us a very nice perspective. But over to you, Faisal. What is the difference between creativity and innovation?
Yeah, I mean, Richard, creativity is like the fuel, and then innovation is the engine that needs that fuel to keep on, moving as well. Service always this of finding new ways or new means of keeping, But the thin line between innovation and creativity is really up, I think. Whereas creativity could be just an enhancement of a space. You can, for example, the innovation, as Richard said, that HTV is an innovation. And the creative part of it is the fact that you have to continue creating new programs that are exciting for your followers and your audience. And I think that's the creative process, but the innovation has been done. But what makes innovation, what makes a product to be considered innovative? It's time, the test of time, and the fact that it has to be rendered relevant or useful to the target market or to the target audience. If you innovate a car and no one buys or no one needs to drive it, then it's not a very innovative idea. But you can have a car that you can work with in terms of continuing the process of revamping it, changing the color, or giving it a different style or a different design. It happens all the time, but you're not inventing a new car. You are basically creatively enhancing its look. So we always see innovation as a far process that has to be given time and also approved for the purpose, as well as creativity is the continuation of making sure that things keep exciting people, things keep being different, but also adding on to what is already there.
Richard, you've heard what Faisal said. Let's just get straight to how do we practice creativity? Given the context we have now given to it, the flesh we've given to it, for the businesses in Uganda to be more successful?
First, I think one of the key things is to adopt the mindset that nothing can limit imagination.
Yeah.
Imagination cannot be boxed up. It can't be put in it. You have to continuously imagine things better.
Yeah.
Because if you do not imagine them better, there is no now spark for creativity.
Yeah.
For example, we when we were starting off, we were trained actors, writers, directors. We had nowhere to get employment.
Wow.
We definitely, the natural thing to do was to run to theaters, to Bat Valley, National Theatre, look for, where you can
And
be.
there are only 3 theaters, and we're channeling out thousands of people from universities every single year.
and by the way,
Yeah.
by the time we finished, I think now conventional type of theatre ensembles were starting to die out slowly. Yeah, so we had like say 3 or 4 that were major. We had the Afri-Talent, Ebony's, Bakaimbira, and once in a while Alex Mukulu and a few other creators there. So there was no clear place to be accommodated.
Yeah.
Because they almost have enough. So lucky enough, there was Philip Luswata who tried to imagine
Things.
Imagine something new. Imagine a weekly comedy show. He imagined it, and to us, it was a little crazy.
By taking the young ones who are...
But
just
because he
coming
was a
up.
lecturer, he dared. He dared. And he said, you know what, if we get space and we have the talent, we can experiment. We shall get a formula. If we don't get a formula, we shall know you can tell the formula is nowhere.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can figure out another way. He handpicked talent, and we started figuring out how to do a weekly comedy show. Back then,
Which never existed before.
it never existed.
Wow.
There was no weekly comedy shows.
Yeah.
Theater was, linear stories. You go sit, watch Afri-Talent do a play called Nabasangawa, and you seated for 4 hours watching. It was fun. It was entertaining. But how do you stand out if you want now to also start? You have to bring something new.
Yeah.
There's always a younger audience.
Yes.
Always. Or there's always an existing audience that has not seen something new.
Wow.
So he dared. He put us in the thick of things. We tried, and in about a year and a half, a formula had been gotten.
Wow.
After a few 1-2 years, TV saw the value of the show, adopted the show, put it on NTV. The rest was history. So I think with experiences like that, it takes, don't limit the imagination.
Yeah.
Whatever is trending, imagine it in a better way.
Yeah.
It will spark your creativity.
Yeah.
Then you have to dare. You have to dare. You have seen how hard it is for people to take on new ideas.
Yes.
Then you compare
Yes.
the rigidity they had
yes.
when the idea had just come,
Yeah.
and how much they are enjoying it
Yes.
after a span of time.
Yeah.
Because when we started weekly comedy shows, the ones in the city, even the audience was like, wow.
Who is going to watch this thing?
I mean, which Ugandan is going to make me laugh for 2 hours on a weekly basis? So it was a case of,
Yes.
you come.
Yes.
If you don't like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
It's okay.
The next week, they bring 2 other friends.
Yes.
It was word of mouth, word of mouth. By the time the entire world learned about the weekly comedy show, it had grown to 4 people at TLC to 1,000 people in the upper gardens of the National Theatre.
Wow.
Yeah, but now the trick is, now it is we
Yes.
who also have to
Continue
reinvent it.
Yeah, or the innovation has to be continue being oiled by the creativity, as you said. Wow. Well, we are talking about, how do we, creativity, how do we make money out of creativity? How can creativity make businesses successful in Uganda? Richard is giving us a masterclass with Faisal on this one here, something that you've talked about that people don't usually take very seriously, Richard. I've had people say, show me the numbers. I want to see 1 or 2 people, show me the numbers. And you've just unpacked the whole mystery behind the numbers. That 4 people is now 1,500.
Yes.
But it did not start with 1,500.
True.
And for me, something that I've learned from you right now is that if you continue being consistent with whatever you are doing, if you dare, you repeated the word, if you dare, you said 3 times, then it's going to pay off. But many times we don't know how to keep the consistency of daring to do something new.
We give up very easily.
And one time a young person told me, says, well, boss, I'm not going to eat creativity. So, and so off he walked the door. And he says, the Nagala sent, if you don't have money, kindness is not going to pay me. I don't want to eat this. But that's a story of everyone. So Richard Tuwangye, Faisal Kiwewa, we're going to have to let Faisal run for his meeting. We are now talking about the global village.
You know,
Faisal has been on the show, is running for his next meeting in Belgium, where he caught a train this morning. Imagine the day we can do that in Kampala. We'll catch a train to be in Congo, to do a show in Congo, in Tanzania.
He shall come. That time will come. I hope we shall be alive.
Yes.
We are going to contribute to the coming of those things.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic time to be
Yes,
alive.
so we're going to take another break, and when we come back, Richard Tuwangye and I are going to continue with the show until the end, while we're missing Faisal, who is running for his meeting. Stay right there, Creative Industry. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back from that break. I hope you've gotten a little bit of what we have been talking about here. There's that discussion with Musta where we're talking about creative spaces in Uganda. For the first time in the history of Uganda, we actually have a creative space, Richard, in Uganda.
Yeah.
There are 2 creative spaces for creative people to go. So you don't longer now need to put on your backpack and you wear your shorts and enter the restaurant and then you think, mulalo una tu se. Because you're wearing shorts, you're entering an high-profile, sort of like restaurant and
give
stuff
you the
like
food
that.
bill and the bill.
Yes, at the same time, and then you go. So we're talking about that on the show, creative spaces, and we wanted to connect this to this business discussion that we're having. Richard, thank you very much, first of all, for the last part of the show. I want to take you straight to, what does creativity bring to business success, in your opinion?
It's creativity allows you to stay ahead of the pack. It helps you become the trendsetter. Humankind is set in a way that they will always have a thing for the pioneer of things.
Yeah.
So we see it, if you think about these big corporations we see in Uganda and how they advertise and the different promotions they bring, you will somehow the target market will always have the pioneer front of mind. So for me, creativity, that is how important it is, because you will get the masters, you will be an A-lister on the papers. But if you do not know how to channel, because there is not one company in the arts or in business, as we know it, there's not a company that hires more than 10 people, and all of them are not creative. There is always creativity in a company. But every organization has to have a leader that knows how to harness that creativity.
That's the point. That right there, you've spoken it.
Yes, because it's man. Our society, sometimes I think it is in our conditioning, in our bringing up, when people attain positions of leadership. They wear the boss clock, instead of
a servant person.
that is when now you need to be part of the other ones and know who is going to be coupled with who to achieve something. Creativity is all over the place. Harnessing it is a challenge.
So in other words, you're saying every business needs to have that one leader, that one person who harnesses the creativity in the team that they have in order for that business to be successful.
Yes, if they don't have that leader might come and go, but a system has to be created, or activities. It could be just activities, regular activities. That if a consistency is kept, a lot of our ideas will bounce off creative people and create one big thing.
Wow. Well, that is one takeaway from Richard right there. How can businesses harness from creativity to be successful in Uganda? Richard, let's dive to the next one. I want to just go to this next question. Why is creativity very important for the success of our business, in your opinion? Why is creativity very important for the success of our businesses?
For me, creativity is I'll take you a little bit back from what I mentioned. Is you don't want to start something, for just starting sake. Businesses have to grow. Businesses have to grow in revenue and in how many lives a business touches. So creativity is very important for growth, because business is not about just growth of revenue. Creativity is very important for growth of any kind of organization.
In other words, Richard, you're saying, even as an individual, if I am not creative, there's nowhere, I can't wear this exact same shirt over and over. Even Balaam had to change his t-shirt at some point. We're used to Balaam wearing one type of t-shirt, and then at some point he had to change. So you're saying that we've got to be, it's important, creativity is important in business success as good as in an individual life, that we are reinventing ourselves over and over, and we're thinking about these things over and over. Richard, in that context, how does creativity facilitate the business growth, or how can it facilitate the business growth in Uganda? Take, for example, you guys of the Fun Factory. You started at the backyard of Kampala, and now you are in the city of Johannesburg, and springing out from there and going to the rest of Africa.
Yes.
And I'm sure soon enough somebody's going to see you from Hollywood and say, these guys, Annington was here and was telling us how you're producing 14 different skits every single week. He says that we're the only group in the entire Africa who has managed to do this.
Entire Africa. And then in the world, I think it's only Fun Factory and Saturday Night Live that do a weekly sketch comedy show. Maybe somewhere in the Orientals, Japan, but sketch comedy. New show every week. Every week. I think that contributes to why we worked out a formula. We've been working together for a long time. We figured out each other's strengths, and we know I could be good, but I'm better when I'm with Dixon Zizinga. Because I know exactly how I and him can gel well together and create something bigger than if he did a skit on his own. So that tags into what I explained earlier. Creativity is there, harnessing it can be a problem. It is very easy to have Fun Factory and not to have a breakthrough till now. Because humans are humans. You have to know the creativity alone cannot be the winning horse. So you're saying, how does it facilitate business growth? I think whether we like it or not, whether formally or informally, we research. We research. Some people start businesses because they went around, they had, it is basically accidental research. But if we in the creative business accept and manage our creative business as well as businesses are managed, because it is a business, then we need to research.
So research and development is equally very important.
When you research and you know exactly what they want, and you already have this creativity, it will just boom.
Wow.
Because for us now, Ugandans are the only kind of talents that can entertain all English-speaking Africa. Not a lot of people are watching Nigerian movies here. Like they used to. Now they are watching our content. But our research shows that when Ugandan dramas go to West Africa, West Africans find our dramas more superior.
To theirs. Actually, a friend of mine, Uti Nwachuku, who was in Big Brother, wrote to me one time and I was saying the same thing.
Now, you see, I'm going to tell you two stories here that will surprise you. But it is such research, not formally commissioned, that now allows us to even open the you know, target wider.
Yes.
You know, because Zambia, Malawi, Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, even South Africa, and Tanzania and Kenya can be our audience. Because before lockdown, we used to stream our show for 2 hours. And little did we know, it was Zambians and Malawians that were making the numbers.
Yes.
Until you act in Uganda, then you see comments. But now, please go back to English.
Yes.
Then when you check their profiles, Malawi, Zambia, Kenya, Rwanda. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It is that good for us. To capitalize on that. There's a time we had a TV drama called The Hostel, and it was airing on all Africa Magic channels at some point. So Ghana and Nigeria were watching. A friend of mine called me and told me, Richard, I'm going to win a bet here of $300. The Ghanaians who I'm watching The Hostel with think you guys are Zimbabwean. They think Uganda cannot produce this kind of stuff. He told them, wait for the credits and you will see. He won the bet, long story cut short. And he told me, Richard, make it a point to create for English-speaking West Africa. And, well, that we knew years ago. But the resources to achieve that, the only way, the best way to do it is to now entertain Africa digitally. So now, Fun Factory might need Eddie as a consultant. So really, I don't think creativity alone can be a winning horse. Research
and development.
Research and development, and then you know, okay, we can create in this line, but the money, according to what we now know, will come from Rwanda and Kenya and Tanzania.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, everybody. You've heard from Richard. In fact, I want to allow Richard to read this by himself. This is probably the longest of a comment here. I want you to read that comment loud to everyone. This is coming because sometimes when I read the comment, people say yes.
This is thanks a lot, Mr. Richard, Tuwangye, Kofi, and Kiwewa. I still think more thought should be put into which word is this?
Just want to
delineating
delineating the arts,
and cultural sector, creative sector, and separate it from the umbrella creative industry, especially to support policy and decision making. A businessman selling healthcare products is part of the healthcare industry, but not a healthcare professional simply because healthcare is well delineated. Please excuse us if we don't pronounce
delineating very well.
I'm from Chiruhura. You cannot run away from yourself. It makes sense that we clearly delineate. I think it's delineate the arts and culture sector. From the big umbrella creative industry. Wouldn't you agree? It is also possible. This is more academic and less practical. I agree with him.
I also agree with him.
I really agree with him. We need to delineate it. We need to create a proper lane for the creative the arts and cultural sector. Though it's fueled by creativity, but it's the arts and culture sector. What we can just say is, at some point, if creativity has to help business growth, some basics don't change.
Which is always a constant. And then Richard, I want to just put this to my brother there. Thank you very much. First of all, my brother, Mr. Keith Nyende, you raise a fantastic point right there. And teacher Mpaire says, I love this conversation. So that's a
by the way, Keith, I know Keith is one of the brightest cultural entrepreneurs in our times. That guy was the brainchild behind Nyege Nyege. He was the first person to imagine wider and dare to do a festival on the Nile.
Wow. And thank you very much, Keith. Thank you very much, Teacher Mpare, for being a part of the show. I want to dive straight to a comment coming all the way from Australia. Dennis in Australia is always a constant guy watching the show. Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing Richard Kofi onto the show. He's one of my favorite actors out of Uganda. He keeps me out of home happy. I am glued to, watching the Fun Factory all the way. I live in Sydney. And thank you very much for bringing these guys always on the show. Tell Richard to continue channeling out the things that I love. And people don't understand that this particular discussion is good for us because we don't usually get sort of like the interesting ideas that come out of Uganda. There's no TV that looks after the people who are in the diaspora. So Richard, shout out to you.
We were just having that conversation because you came back.
Yes. And I want to go to a WhatsApp message here coming from the US. First of all, shout out to Coach Anthony Ndaula and of course, my professor from another mother, Professor Penny Nachayo, Assistant Professor for Design Communication, Washington University. Ugandans are in big places.
You are rubbing shoulders with the...
And
I need to get in touch with
that one. And she always said that we need to come with a design identity for Uganda.
That's...
Design identity for Uganda. So Professor Penny Nachayo, thank you so much. Yes.
That is very important.
And Anthony Ndaula, I want to dive out to JB Atine all the way in Belgium, says is always loving the discussion. JB is into the IT sector in Belgium, and these are big people doing serious consultancy in outside countries, and we say it in Uganda. Guys, shout out to all of you guys. I want to go straight to my brother from another mother in Denmark. Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing Richard Tuwangye. Faisal and Richard today nailed the show. I wish Faisal wasn't running. I would want to hear more coming from those fellows about how we can actually make money out of creativity. Most businesses in Kampala, back in Kampala, think that creative people are crazy, but no one will buy a tomato that is packed in a sack, but I will buy a tomato which is nicely packaged and put in a cavera that I can see with a label made out of Uganda or product of Uganda. That's what creativity does.
Wow.
And
you see, simple. It's just usually a simple twist.
Yes.
Yeah, that creates another breakthrough.
Yes.
And you see, most of the creative ideas that change the world or change sectors or bring in new trends, you look at the idea and you're like, whoa, how is it that I didn't think about that?
Because the smallest thing, Richard, are usually the most difficult thing to people to say. That's why creative people needs to be paid money.
Yes,
because thing that you're looking at it as very small is usually the biggest thing that people are looking for. And I want to dive straight to South Africa before we we need to go back and finish the show. That gentleman on the show is my best actor in that comedy show. I am a guy who love watching the things. It's an amazing to see him at that calm, that professional, and out of the stage, out of character. And actually discussing how we can take things. I'm a Ugandan living in South Africa. This channel is my place to be.
Wow.
And thank you very much, guys. I want to just take Richard back to the show. I told you to send your kisses, and this is coming. If you think we're not doing well, please diss us. If you think we're doing well, kiss us. Richard, this discussion, I know it's going to be a very important discussion to most people. And of course, we're going to be looking more into having a discussion with you going forward. How does creativity, Richard, or rather, my last question to you actually for the day, why is creativity very important for an entrepreneur? The world describes Uganda as the most entrepreneurial country in the world.
Yes.
But Ugandan businesses that are usually started, as they always say, die before they see the next birthday. In fact, to me, we don't go beyond 6 months of our existence. And people always wondering that Ugandans are very creative, they're very entrepreneurial, but how businesses don't go beyond that. Richard, there's a university or an organization that did research studies about entrepreneurship. About Uganda as being the most culturally diverse country in the world.
True.
And I think the Virgin, sort of like paid money for that research to come out. Now, all of this research is about Uganda. It's about the people out of Uganda. It's about Africa. It's about why is it that our businesses don't go beyond that? And today we're talking about creativity for business success in Uganda. Yes. My last question to you for the show is, why is creativity important for an entrepreneur? Because most people start businesses and think that they're just going to run. I don't need a designer. I don't need a copywriter.
That's true. It is very important for at the core, the simple basic of being an entrepreneur is you're presenting something new.
Yeah.
Or you're solving a big problem in a new way.
Yeah.
That is, maybe you're making it comfortable for your target audience,
Yeah.
or cheaper, you know, or you have basically killed or presented something new to buy, and give people an experience. Because I think we can never think from the standpoint of the entrepreneur. We have to think from also the standpoint of the buyer.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
what is the experience, or what is the convenience that you are causing?
Yeah.
Now that means you cannot come and do exactly what has been around.
Yeah.
Now, for me, in my thinking,
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest problem with entrepreneurs or business startups.
Yeah.
There's a syndrome we have as Ugandans. We come to fit in.
Yeah.
We want to fit in. You think you can be a good singer, you come to fit in into what is happening. You think you can enter the whatever kind of business, you come to fit in, not to present it in a better or different way or convenient way for the end consumer. So for me, that is the challenge. Now, if you are not going to fit in, you need to have creativity. You need to work with teams. Like I told you, Fun Factory is made of like 10, 12 very creative minds. But Dixon's creativity amplifies mine, or mine gels well with his, and a big product is created. Dixon alone can earn all the money he wants if he's well managed. And I can. But if we figure out,
come together,
what we want to bring on the table, if we want to sell it to, say, entire Uganda and Bantu-speaking, Africa, then we have to put together a team and hit it. So for me, don't fit in. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to fit in. Twist what has been around. And how are you going to do it if you don't get creative teams together? But I don't know, we need a creative hub in Uganda where this is my idea, but I need a brain like Okila's. Then I need so and so. Where we are so weak also in Uganda is we are so weak on partnerships.
Because we're very individualistic in our nature, in our thinking. We're quite very myopic and quite very mediocre-ish in a way of doing things, if the word exists. I'm talking about the word mediocrity striving where there's ignorance.
In Uganda, man, mediocrity is a standard. It is a standard, as in they hit it and like chukulie.
Well, guys, I told you this show is going to be very interesting. Richard, we're going to bring the show to a close. Creativity for innovation and profit. What's your score?
Creativity for innovation
and profit. Yes, what's your score?
How I've done over the years.
Yes.
I think I am happy that I am above average. 6, and I know now how to earn the other portion that I have not.
The 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Man, it is a good thing to be consistent. Along the way, we had many reasons to give up, man. Many reasons to give up. But man, bro, if you have a dream, if you see what it can be 10 years from where you're standing, it gives you a reason to keep going. While you think it is big, you might even hit it in 4 years, and then, so let's say I'm there, 6.57. You're going to be seeing what we are creating. By the way, personally, I'm happy COVID came.
So it wasn't really negative as everybody put it.
No. For example, it's because we are not here to specifically talk about what we did, or is it okay?
Please, yes.
When we went for total lockdown, it hit us. We had a weekly comedy show at the National Theatre. Every week we do 52 shows. A year, fresh new shows. Then we have for the affluent Kampalan who wants to pay 100,000 shillings. Then we have some at the Serena that reports there. But now this is total lockdown. We went into lockdown. We thought it was going to be 1 month. It became 2. It became 3.
90 days became 140
Yeah,
days.
towards the end, towards the end of the second month, we figured things were not going to be the same again. So we got what our craft and what we used to produce. It was the raw material we used to churn out comedy shows.
Yeah.
So we decided now to use this craft to produce content that fits the times, awareness about the COVID.
Yeah.
But the water had to be comedy.
Yeah.
We had to crack people
The
up.
ingredient was was that.
We had to crack people up. They needed to laugh in their
The world
houses.
was stressed. The world needed some laughters.
You know, when we went into lockdown, our videos would have, say, 100,000 views from the previous night. Yeah, 100,000 from the previous night. But now, during total lockdown, when we started putting out really funny content, that is bearing, had a bearing around the COVID-19.
Yes.
You put it up, and in 24 hours, it has 600,000 viewers. So we went on with that. And when we started, partners were watching. Not partners then, partners now.
Yeah, okay. Because they never come at the beginning of it. Most have said they need to come now, because if they're not part of us now. In fact, Faisal said,
by the
if
time
the corporates don't come now,
yes,
we don't need the corporate. We will be corporation ourselves.
But you see, we have a big part to play
Yeah.
on teaching them how powerful,
how
really powerful the arts are in driving business.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
which is the essence of this show today.
You know,
please.
And you see, for us, that is how we have survived, by using the craft now in a different space. So we did that. MasterCard came on board, Tuwangye, and that's how we've been doing it. Now, why I say we need to teach now the business sector how important the arts are. I do advertising copywriting. Sometimes I sit in boardrooms and they are giving me briefs, and they really want an ad that can touch people, not just communicate. But most cases, you go through a session of schooling them on why what you're creating will work. Yeah? Because it is, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but most people who preside over big offices that make decisions on how a product is going to be communicated with the brand, we still have a lot of them who operate textbook. Proper textbook.
It's a standard operating procedure.
Yes, these are the parameters.
Yes.
But we guys know the temperature of the audiences.
Yes. And the consumers.
Yes, so you have to tell them, if you really want to do mass market, we are going to get off this lane a bit, put one foot this side. So there's always that fear of risking, because they are not managing their own money, some of them.
And they often take back the budget. Navi was here on the CEO bench, and he says, I really get mad when the marketing manager is taking back the budget meant for marketing, and he's taking it back. That person should be fired, because why would you be given a budget to market things and you're taking it back? Well, Richard, thank you very much for coming to the show today. We will definitely be bringing you back next week to discuss the importance of creativity in making businesses successful. We've started the drumming of these things. What are the importance of business, of creativity in business, and how can we harness that, processes and the importance of that to make businesses more successful in Uganda? Everyone is crying in Uganda or in Africa or across the world, but I think that we can do something that will allow us to get there, allow us to understand how we can use creativity for businesses to be successful in Uganda. Once again, I want to say thank you so much for coming to the show. And of course to Faisal, your final parting shot. By the way, excuse me, you are heavily, requested to come on the show by so many people. When we started the creative spaces, and we brought, most to talk about the creative spaces, and Faisal is a resident panelist here. They said the next topic, when you're moving away from creative spaces, you need to bring people who are going to tell us how creativity can be used in business for it to be successful. And overall, there was a lot of nomination for you to come onto the show. There's a lot of vote for, my brother from another mother, Jeremy Byemanzi, to come on the show. Wow. And our job is to make sure you come to the program.
That is very flattering, because I don't think I've informed myself very well, but I'm on that path.
Yes.
But what I know is, we are not in a bad place, but there's a lot of growth we can achieve.
Yeah.
and most importantly, we need to inspire the generations that are coming after us, because we have a generation that really wants things to be easy.
Yeah.
You know, when
and
we
if
want
they're not grounded, it might be very problematic. Yes.
Yep. Lucky enough, they are in a time
Yeah.
where actually things can get easier than they were for us
Yeah.
if they get to know the basics and what to do while you keep the patients on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Richard. Creative industry has come to an end, but we want to close up the show by allowing Richard. He said at the beginning of the show that he's doesn't know whether he's a musician or he's a singer, so we want to know. He's going to close up the show with that part
Oh my God.
of the show. Is he a musician or a singer? You're going to vote for yourself. Over to you, Richard.
I'm a singer who sings for fun.
Yes.
Yes. So I get surprised when people pay. But anyway,
Yes.
do you know I started out as a singer?
Yes.
Something I shocked myself.
Yes, and
got
also
song
see what
recorded and
the
became a
target you
hit.
had in you. Yes.
Had I known what I know now,
Yes. Yes.
then
Yes.
I don't know, I would have had to fly in for this interview.
All right, guys, the creative industry, it's a wrap from us here. Richard, Okila, Faisal, Kiwewa in Belgium, and to all of you guys all across the world, we want to say thank you. And to the crew here that makes this camera and the lighting and the things looks really beautiful, we want to say thank you. It is a teamwork, not Okila work, that makes things happen. Until next week, we'll be talking about the importance of creativity in making businesses successful, both in Uganda and all across the world. Stay right there. We'll be right back next week. Signing out, Okila, Richard, Faisal. It's a wrap.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SIL Uganda on number 0772443085 or check our website www.siluganda.com or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Coffee Break on House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. Wherever you're watching from around the world, it could be morning, afternoon, it could be evening, whatever time it is. I know the saying always goes like it's always tea time, but here at House of Talent, on this day we say anytime is coffee time. My name is Emmanuel, like I said, and the Coffee Messiah is not here with us today. He had to go, I think, to convert some people and maybe bring them into the studio next time we're here. But nonetheless, in the studio today, we have someone who is very experienced when it comes to the business of coffee, when it comes to everything that entails coffee. Mr. Abdul, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's a privilege for us to have you here. I know that you bring a lot of experience when it comes to the coffee industry and the coffee business. And just to start off, we want to say thank you for coming to House of Talent. It's a privilege for us to have you here, and we just want to get straight into your journey as a person. You know, before you got into the whole coffee business, I know that, you know, none of us grows up thinking, okay, you know, I want to enter coffee one day. Yeah, so just take us through your life. You know, where did you study, where did you grow up, what kind of influences did you have in your life, and what led you to this place here today?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so thankful. Like you've introduced me, my name is Yusuf Abdul. Actually, my way back, I was born in Entebbe. Yeah. That's my place of birth. And actually, it's not where I enjoyed my youthful age. I grew up in Kabale district. And I salute everyone in Kabale. I know they're also watching right now. Oh. And I studied in Entebbe. That is from my primary, my secondary level, and then I had to go to Kabale. Yeah. That's where I had to complete my my studying institution. However, to do with the coffee business, it's actually so, I would say, amazing to me, because I had no idea, because where I grew up, there was nothing like coffee. And actually, I was being inspired by, actually, he's a white guy, actually, I will tell you that. He was by names of Mr. John Quinton. He's a British citizen, and I came to meet him in Kampala sometimes back in 2000. It was 2005. Yeah, so we chatted, and I think as I would say grown-ups or people who have kind of moved places, he picked interest in me. So in Kabale, he so moved there, and he had a charity organization that he was running. It was actually called Africa Equipment for Schools. So actually I have a long story, but I think we can catch up with it. So it was called Africa Equipment for Schools, and he took me on as I was a project assistant manager. Like it was, they were building schools and also looking at ensuring kids could stay at school as a mission, and kind of looking forward in why there is a kind of big dropout rate at schools. So we were kind of looking at that point to ensure that we can have kids at school. That's by that time. But with him, he came in, and I did not know that he also had a background, which was coffee. Yeah. So one day he called me. No, we were driving actually. We were driving from Kampala to Kabale, and then we were jazzing about, and he's like, you know, do you know that in, no, he asked me, what are you going to do to be rich? He asked me that.
Yeah.
What would you do to be rich? I know he was expecting me to tell him that I would work for you and become rich. So, yeah, actually, I did not say that. So, I said, yeah, I have to be patient. That's what I told him. I have to be patient. I know there's some big catch ahead of me. He said, no. You know what? Uganda, you have got coffee.
Yeah.
And coffee is very close to oil in terms of commodity. He said, oil sells more, yeah? But coffee is next. Uganda, you have the best coffee. One of the best coffee all over the world.
Yeah.
This is someone from Europe. He's been here for some time, and they do research. By the time he mentioned that, he had already made his research on the Ugandan coffee.
Yeah.
So here he carried on. He told me, we need to find coffee somewhere. I need to get sample of coffee somewhere. If possible, I can try it out. And I asked him why, how, sorry. He said, I will show you. So we reached Kavale. Like over the weekend, he called me to the office because he was my superior, he was my boss. He gave me a task. He told me, you know what? You're going to visit these places, and I would want you to get these informations from the places you're heading, and make sure you come back with samples of coffee.
So he made you kind of like a research assistant in
And I had no any idea, but I was good in, you know, I was traveling to Kigali, and actually I didn't know how to speak that language. I couldn't speak the
Kinyarwanda.
Those brothers of our sandwich, but I had good Swahili, and in those offices they had French, Swahili, and
bit of English.
They Kinyarwanda more. I mean, frequently spoken. Are those three. So yeah, I went in those offices. I went to the Rwanda Coffee Authority. I moved on to all those places in Rwanda, because I even didn't know the places, but I had directions on how to reach there, and I could easily use motorbikes, and they could hear the Swahili. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So I continued. Yeah, I came with a lot of samples and dropped to him. I had specifications, but I did not know how to differentiate or to kind of explain what exactly I came with. But according to what I requested from them, they gave me some samples. So I came back. Oh, he was so thankful, and yeah, we spent the whole time there talking about other things. But I'm sure for him, he knew that the goal is hitting the target. So the next day I had to travel to Chisoro. The next day. So I left alone what I was supposed to do, because some people, we were many, not alone like me alone, but I think he wanted to fulfill the story that we had when we were driving.
About being rich.
That's it. That's what I said. So I went to Chisoro, also the same thing, moved to several places, and from there I could inquire also for some other places, because I did not know the whole places, but I would inquire, where else can I find something as good as you having here, or anything close, so they could refer you. Yeah, so there I went. I also came back. Actually, from Kisoro, I got a lot of coffee. I don't know, maybe they give coffee for free. Yeah, so I came with almost 20 kgs from there. I didn't pay for it because they were like, no, you take it. Because I explained to them where I'm coming from and I'm looking forward to try their coffee and see if the consistency is right. Maybe we would be communicating to them on the way forward. They were so kind of humbled, and since I came maybe to the factory where they do the processing, they had to give me enough. So there I left, and then I also brought that. So the other week I had to go and do my task as usual. Then I came back on Monday, so he told me to stay over. He had roasted, I didn't know, in his suitcase as he was coming to Uganda. That is some years, like 5 years ago, he came with a sample roaster in his bag. So there he had roasted some coffee. He told me that 5 years ago, I came with my, imagine, you know, this advanced world, people tend to prepare themselves for the next, in advance. So, he had roasted coffee during the weekend. So when I came over, I said, whoa, stay over. He prepared the coffee and try it. How is it? Yeah. He was my boss. I had to say it's good. So, I had to say the coffee tastes good, but you know what? I wasn't used. I was like, yeah, tastes good. Tastes good. He had some biscuits there, and so it became a kind of a no, because we had 20 kgs from some kgs I got from Rwanda. Now he's roasting and drink his coffee over there. Now and then. So we're working, but now he's drawing more of the plans. There he started, it's like, you know what, we need to look for a place and have a coffee shop around. Very fast. How is it going to work? I have an idea. That's how he was like. So he would be the main man and I'm always following. So, there we go. So I started looking for places around the town, and I got some expensive places and all that. So he ordered for it was an espresso machine. He ordered for one espresso machine. It was old actually. I wouldn't say that it wasn't that beautiful machine. It was old. Well, maybe he wanted some kind of vintage stuff. You know, sometimes they want to have that crafty things. It looks old, but it's doing perfect stuff, you know, because it was linked to having a grinder on the side. It could, you know, self-made, something like that. So, it took us about 2 months moving up and down. Then we got a space at Cash and Carry supermarket. Those who are in Kavali, I'm sure they would be remembering some little bit of a coffee shop and a Cash and Carry supermarket there. And we did some arrangement. We arranged the place, and then we got girls in to do some training as we are organizing the place. You know, do the roofings, doing more furniture, purchasing things from Kampala. So they were also doing training using that machine over, and I would also be part of that.
So it's interesting that you went up to that. We're going to take a short break. This is a very interesting story, and after the break we'll get back right into it. This is the coffee break on House of Talent. My name is Emmanuel. Today we are hosting Abdul Yusuf, who's giving us, a hint on how he ended up in the coffee business, telling us that his first experience actually with coffee wasn't that good. And we'll be talking about this and more as we get back into it. Let's take a break, go grab a cup of coffee, and we'll be right back. This is House of Talent Television.
people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Welcome back to the Coffee Break on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel. This is the show where we get to talk about everything that is involved in coffee. We get to talk about brewing. We get to talk about issues like from tree to cup. For those of you who understand that, and for those of you who don't understand, well, this is the right show for you. Before we went for a break, we're talking to Mr. Abdul about his story, about where he started from and where he ended up in the coffee business, and he gave us his experience and said that his first experience with coffee actually wasn't good. He took it and said it was good so that he could impress his boss. But I think it's something that really, it's a road that led him to this place, and I don't think it's something that you regret. It's something that has really built you into the man that you are in the coffee business. And wherever your boss is, we want to say thank you to him because he has given the country a very good resource. Talking about your story, I realized that you got into roasting before you actually became a barista that you are now. So we just want to dive into the coffee roasting process because that is our main topic for today. We'll start off with what is coffee roasting. For those who are watching, they might not even know that coffee is roasted in the first place. Okay, so what is coffee roasting?
Yeah, actually, thank you so much. If I can talk about coffee roasting, this is a process whereby your green coffee beans, are being technically using fire. I would say are being technically by use of fire, being put into, I would say, a way that you want it. You're turning it from the green, and you're getting it to the level you're looking at. Let me say you're doing, let me say medium roast,
like to the level we have on the screen there.
All right,
we
that
can
looks
see
red on the screen. So that is almost medium to dark roast. So that one, it's actually a reaction that took place to enable that coffee beans turn to that color by use of fire and the chemical reaction that took place during the fire and the coffee beans. So the coffee turned into that color and it's softened so it can be easily grinded and you can brew your coffee after that coffee is being roasted.
That's interesting. So where does it start? Because I know that the coffee process itself actually starts from when you put a seed into the ground, like for those who grow coffee. Okay, then it comes into the hands of whoever is going to do the roasting. So where do we start the process from and where does it end up into a cup?
Actually with coffee processing, ideally I prefer to give a kind of a very clear understanding that people should mind that before you start roasting your coffee, you should understand the type of coffee you need to roast. That's the first thing. If you're looking at the type of coffee, then there follows the quality of the coffee. Some people would just roast it. I don't know how they do it, but the right way or the right procedure could be, you should first make analysis of your coffee That's to do with the defects that the coffee should be having. You know, right from the garden, the coffee would be processed. You know, as it's processed, that is removing the outermost skins when it's already dry, actually.
Yeah.
Removing the outermost skin, you know, the parchment, and now the coffee is the green coffee we are having now. So by the time you're having your green coffee, you need also to take a very clear note that if you're having it in quantity, it's not mixed up and you're having some defects into the coffee.
Yeah.
So in that way, you should take note. You either have your moisture right for the coffee, that it is dried. The coffee is free from defects, you know, and the coffee, maybe even the smelling could smell nice, then the physical appearance, the coffee looks more greener. Because if it gives you a pale kind of looking, then there is something wrong with the coffee. Maybe it had a poor storage. Then the result in your cup will be disappointing.
Will be different, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so from what you're saying is that I need to first see what kind of coffee I have. I believe that in different parts of the world, there are different types of coffee, and there are different effects that come onto this coffee. For example, the place where you grew it from, the kind of soil you used, you know, and by the time it comes to the cup, I think it still contains some of those elements. Okay, so we have collected the coffee from, let's say, the farmers. We have sorted the debris from it, and now we have it in our hands. Okay, what type of equipment do we need to use to roast this coffee? I believe that there are commercial equipments, then there are some that we can